Hello, Sagittarius. This is Lee at Fresh Astrology. How are you? So this is if you don't catch this live, this was a live stream. So that means that some people might be chatting with me on the side. And if you subscribe, you can catch a live chat too and ask me questions or let me know what's going on with you or maybe even connect with others here because there's a lot of validation and it's healing to be validated. So when you see that somebody else is going through something similar or just that, when somebody's going through, it really lends perspective to this whole thing. So subscribe if you want to catch a live chat. I never know when I'm going to catch enough time to be here because I work a lot. I do a lot of other things behind the scenes because I'm a coach. I have a coaching company of my own. And then I own one with, two friends. And so there's a lot I'm doing behind the scenes and I try to fit these in when I can. The best way to know when one's coming up is to subscribe. All right, let's get going. And if you want to get the annual forecasts or the content earlier and you want weekly forecasts and you want to learn a little bit of basic astrology and you want to be included in monthly drawings for live readings, go to leesears.com and join the membership lounge. I put the link below. All right. So let's look at your chart, Sagittarius. So you had Jupiter in your sign all last year, as most of you may know. Right now, as we go into January, you're getting the energy of Mars, which comes around once every 2 years. So this is a time when you're more highly energized physically. It makes you more dynamic. You can get more done. If you struggle to follow schedules or keep up with your workload, you certainly have more physical strength and energy to put toward it, and maybe motivation. Mars can be motivation as well. It's the passion inside of you that makes you act. So I think it probably will feel good for most of you because you'll just be driven and motivated. The thing to watch out for, though, is that you newly have Uranus, newly in astrological time frames. For a human, it's like, no, it's been here since May and even before. But from an astrological perspective, it's new. You have Uranus in the area to do with your health. So there could be surprising symptoms. And this doesn't necessarily mean bad stuff. We never want any kind of symptom. But it may not be something dire. It could just be like suddenly, after never having a cavity in your life, you have a cavity, or suddenly after never having indigestion in your life, you have indigestion. And it's a surprise because you've never had it before. It could be, stuff that's relatively little in the world of health that comes up. But at the same time, you have so much loaded into your second house, which is where Capricorn is in your chart, of work, daily work. And that's an area that, along with this Uranus and along with the Mars, makes me want to let you know, and also the North Node in the 8th house, that taking good care of yourself, the way you take care of yourself is very important. And some of you may want to try pioneering kinds of ways of self-care. So that covers the gamut, but you may seek alternative treatments. You may, I think just explore, use the exploratory nature of Uranus. But I do think that it's good to stay on top of and be more proactive around health and just realize, and probably a lot of you do realize, that you felt overburdened with work or tasks or expectations. But this is also a very exciting time in your career. So even if you get tired or need to make sure you juggle your schedule in a way that works for you so that you remain happy and healthy, it's a very exciting time in your career because that's where Jupiter has now gone. Jupiter has entered the area that has felt hard for a decade. And if you're younger and you haven't been working for a decade, this is your more like your anticipation of what you'll be able to do. Will you be able to earn the kind of income you actually want? Will you be able to support yourself? So it's a will you be able to kind of fear, because Pluto's here. Some of you who've been maybe stay-at-home parents, could be a father or a mother, but you've been more at home, maybe, not doing things out in the world. And so even though, it's stupid at this point to say that, parents work when they work at home, and just parent. And I was a stay-at-home mom, so I'm not using the word just as just. But, so it's stupid to say, oh, you work, it's still work. It absolutely is. But I also know that fear of going out into the world and leaving the nest, that kind of work too. And nesting parenting work can be terrifying, and you can feel like a failure all the time. And there's a thankless task too, and you don't get paid usually. So, but there's a lot of fear about going back out into the world that can happen. There can also be a sense, it could be self-imposed, or it could be somewhat real if you need to brush up on some skills or just get more confidence, that you may feel limited in what you can do. I think it's more in your mind. And I think it's about confidence because of Pluto. Jupiter is going to come in along with the South Node, working with the South Node, and open doors for you, I believe. There's certainly an opportunity this year to make more money than you've made in a while, and maybe the most you've ever made. So I think financially, with the North Node in the 8th house and the South Node conjunct Jupiter and all the other stuff that's going on, and the Uranus in the 6th house indicates a lot of change going on in your daily schedule and the way you do work. So no matter what your age you are or situation, you're a stay-at-home parent, but maybe thinking about going out and doing something else, even if it's just by going out into the world. Maybe you're just trying to write a novel, or maybe you've got a painting series and you've just not vetted it in the art world yet, or you're trying to think about a juried show. It could be any situation to do with how you might earn money. There's also something going on in your value system. It's good for you to, hi, good morning, everybody. I see you here. Sometimes it's funny because when this shows up later after I've recorded this and it goes up, I can read your names more easily, but it's so tiny. I feel like I need a magnifying glass. I see Tammy and maybe Fari. So excuse me if I'm not saying it correctly or I'm missing a letter in there. But good morning and hello to everybody. So yeah, and let us know, like, what are your issues? What are you most fearful about right now? If you have a rising sign different from Sagittarius, you may have a slightly different focus. But I'm guessing even if you're a sun Sagittarius and your rising and moon are different, that these themes are still there somewhere. They're still there. So another thing to consider here with all this stuff in Capricorn is your values have become kind of do or die. And what I mean by that is, more than ever, you want to be your authentic self and live as your authentic self. You don't want to hide there, but there's a flip side of that coin. Some of you are still hiding your authentic self. You're still hiding behind something, behind maybe a public face that you have. And so there's some of you are fearful about who you are. There's that. But more, I think it's a deep desire just to live as you, to be you, and to feel safe being who you are, not to feel attacked. I think Jupiter comes in whatever way into your life, and it increases your focus on values, what's right and what's wrong. It increases your desire to both spend money and make money. So you'll be doing a little of both. It makes sense, certainly, if more money's coming in, that you'll spend more. That makes sense. With the North Node in the 8th house, what you also want to pay attention to, because the North Node is very powerful in a chart. I always say that if I had nothing else to read a person on, I didn't even know their sun sign or their rising sign or their moon sign. If I just knew the North Node in a sign, I could really tell a lot about that person, and I would know a lot about what's going to happen in their life in terms of major themes, as to what they'll do on Tuesday of 2023, no. But I would know a lot about that person's kind of soul purpose. And then, if I just knew the rising sign and not even the sun sign, but the rising sign, the North Node in whatever zodiac sign the North Node's in, and then the house it was in, boy, would I have a wealth of information. So the North Node's very powerful. And what's happening with the eclipse this month, the full moon, and the eclipse just means it's an amped up, it's kind of an amped up full moon. We make a big deal about eclipses because they can be a little more, it's just like a full moon on steroids, really. So what's happening at that time, though, is the nodes are involved and pulled into it. And then you have the moon coming across the North Node in your 8th house. So I think even if you make a lot of money, you're fine spending it. There's no problem. But with Cancer in here too, North Node in Cancer in the 8th house, you want to nurture your money. You want to nurture it like it's your baby and make sure you take good care of it. Be a good steward of it. And for fire signs, that's not always the easiest thing to do. So it's something, the North Node is always at any given time when you're capable of doing whatever it's pointing to. So you're certainly capable at this time of learning how to nurture your money. There's also this idea of manifesting, with Jupiter and the South Node in the 2nd and the North Node and the moon up here in the 8th. There's this idea that you are fully capable of manifesting more money. And manifesting is a very strange thing. In my company, Camille, that I run with Carolyn and Mimi, we work with this all the time. And then the three of us in different ways separately, because we're all three of us are single moms and, had some hardship placed on us as a result of, life. And we've played around with manifesting, and it's a bizarre thing. It's really bizarre because it's not what I was taught when I was young. So it's a very strange concept to me that this actually works. But manifesting, once you learn how to do it, is a bizarro, real life thing. You can totally do it. And, if you're a skeptic, I'm a skeptic too. I'm a major skeptic. I question everything. I question astrology a lot too. I question what other astrologers say, even like people who are considered, the top of the field. I still have question marks in my mind. And that's okay. We're supposed to. And I'm sure the best astrologers out there, and I don't consider myself one of them, I think they're good because they also go in with an inquiring mind. And so anyway, manifesting is certainly something that you can do right now. And you're kind of supposed to do it to learn, because there's a bit of faith, not only in a nurturing universe or God. I think of it more like, oh, hey, Nancy, how are you doing? Oh, well, that's so sweet, Nancy. Thank you. I appreciate that, but it's true. I'm not being modest. I definitely don't consider myself, one of the best astrologers at all. I just care a lot. I care. Jackie Hartman says the Capricorn stellium is in my 2nd, yes, as for all Sagittarius, and is trine Venus in my 9th and Jupiter in my 5th conjunct 6th. Okay, So Jackie, what my question for you would be, like, what's your life situation right now? Are you a stay-at-home parent? Are you going back to school? Are you doing some kind of global work where you travel? What's your situation, and what do you kind of want? What do you yearn for? And do you have some financial goals? I would be looking at that, because with the six, let's see, you said la la la. Second is trine Venus in my ninth, and Jupiter in my fifth. Okay, fifth. I just had a big move to another state. I'm a counselor. Okay. Do you counsel children? Are children, and then also, are you trying to set up a new business arrangement or a new way to do business? Starting your counsel. Oh, see, that's so perfect. Right. So so Jackie's saying that she just had a big move. And you guys do have Neptune in your fourth house. So that's creating dissolution and reformation of things, including family and home. And that will continue for a few more years. So I wouldn't be surprised if you moved again, maybe not to another state, but moved again. There's also a very strong desire to move near water, strong desire. And what's funny is I was born with Neptune in the fourth house, and I've always lived on streets, either streets that had the water imagery in them, like river or just something watery. Or I've literally had like a creek running through my yard or a lake out front. I've always had water imagery or real water around. So there is a strong desire or pull toward living near water. Of course, you could argue we all live, unless we're in very interesting places on the planet, we all live near water because water runs underground, but it's stronger for you guys right now. So I don't know if you feel that tug. But it makes sense. You're starting your counseling practice. You've got Jupiter newly entering the second house of work and how you earn money. I'm assuming and presuming that you've been studying for a long time. That's Saturn. Saturn conjunct Pluto. It's like the power of, the changes you've been going through personally, needing maybe what you've learned. And then Jupiter comes in and there's this new start energy. I think you're going to do well. I mean, this is a very fortuitous time to start a business or to start a new job. It's a really good timing. So I think the stars, the force is with you on that. You're by a lake. Yeah, see? Yeah, Neptune would be in your fourth, right? And equal house, like the whole house system or equal house system, I think you're saying like when everything lines up, like the houses line up with the zodiac signs. It's interesting. It can sometimes tell us, it clarifies things very quickly. So if I ever have confusion in a chart that I'm reading, to use the whole house system, which I think is what you mean, it can really put things in order, and you can see a little more clearly without the question marks. Sometimes it's just like it cleans up what you're looking at. Yeah, it's exciting and scary. So all of you, I imagine any new starts going on in your career, or whatever is going on in your career, it is exciting and scary. And sometimes this is your biggest fear. You're supposed to face the fear and move through it. So you don't have to pretend like the fear doesn't exist. You don't have to ignore the fear. It's like facing it and then just continuing to move forward. Nancy says, how do I get more clarity about what I'm creating? Well, I personally, Nancy, would say, like, let's just look at the average, Sagittarius chart. Here are some of the themes. Leadership. Those are the themes. Leadership, teaching, mentoring, counseling is also there. anything where you're taking a leadership position. Some people have become attorneys. Maybe they've gone to law school or something, or they're going to law school. But it's really about stepping into your full power and leadership. And I think when you can find a way to connect with your confidence and, where you're empowered, things get clearer. And also, I talk a lot about purpose. Purpose is very important. To get clear on your purpose is one of the biggest ways to find clarity about direction. It's not one of, it's the biggest way. And purpose, we have a whole webinar coming up. Thanks for the question, Nancy. We have a webinar coming up at Camille, and I'll add the Camille link below, but January 11th, so coming up around the full moon, and when everything's crunched together here, we're going to be doing a webinar on purpose. And I'm not kidding. There's a reason why I'm harping on this over and over, not only in my coaching world, but here in the astrology world, because the nodes are involved. The nodes are all about your life path and your soul's purpose, however you want to think about it. And they're not about achievement, like I have to go check this box, I've achieved this thing. It's really about why you're here. And to get clarity on that is very relaxing and very clarifying. And so I would say it's more important to understand your nodes and also do coaching work that helps you figure out your purpose, or spiritual work. Some people you can get at it different ways, but to figure out your purpose and get that more clearly etched in your mind and heart is the way to get clarity on how to proceed and what your goals are. So the goals aren't the purpose, but getting that compass setting, jiggered so it's just right and pointing you toward your true north, and understanding what your true north is with clarity allows you to choose what you're going to do, allows you to choose the career or the way you're going to do it. So the career isn't the purpose, but the purpose is this clarifying true north that can, we get hints about it in astrology. Right now for you guys, there's this idea of nurturing. So leadership and nurturing, right? That's all you need to know. And then facing your fears, learning Saturn, Pluto, fear. You're learning how to face your fears. Jupiter's here to help. The South Node's here to help. All this stuff, Sirius, you've got a lot of help. You don't have to do this alone. And in fact, I suggest all of you, get a mastermind group or come to our webinar. For heaven's sakes, Camille is set up, my company, Camille, is set up to be a community to support people in finding purpose and building a career based on purpose. So, please come and use our resources. I'm just going to type in Camille-Co. Whoops. Did I do that right? No, it's not that at all. Well, I guess if you want our website, I was going to give you the email. Okay. So it's Camille-Co. Oh, I didn't even type it right. Goodness. Okay, we're going to do that again. Camille-Co. Did I do that right? Okay. It's really tiny, guys. It's tinier than you see it, I think. Okay, so Camille-Co.com. And it's a free webinar, so you can't lose anything. But come join us if you're working on issues of purpose or finding clarity around what you're going to do in the, right now, and how you're going to earn money. Jackie says, transit Neptune. I'm at my natal. Neptune is in my 11th. Okay. Yeah, so you're still drawn toward, because it's always pulling you toward your future, but it's also having Neptune in your 11th house, parenthetically, for those who may be coming up with a transit or were born with it there. you're drawn to healing and creativity pursuits. So let's see if there's anybody else in here. Kenna Chris, how did you find your purpose? Me? Okay. I did so much self-coaching. It's crazy. I became like I was a woman on a mission. I found my purpose, and a lot of people do, through some hardship and some serious life challenges. There's nothing that molds you more and shapes you more than challenge in life and crisis. So even though we don't ask for it, we don't want it, we don't pray for it, we don't want to manifest it, I can tell you right now, if you're going through a challenge and hardship and you're scared and you feel alone, that this is a gift. And I know it's the weird, most, it seems like a horrible gift. And it seems, like, why would that be a gift? I hate people who tell me it's a gift. And I would have said the same thing way back when, but I can tell you that going through hardship, feeling alone, having huge challenges before me, and feeling like I couldn't do it, helped me actually do it because I'd made a decision. It was almost in an instant. I made a very crystal clear, in a specific moment, decision that I was going to do everything I could to turn my life around. And so for me personally, I don't know if everybody else sleeps with like 20 books on their nightstand that are only like, you've read like the first couple of pages and then you move on to the next book. And then you're like in weird, middle stages of all the books. But I had, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And people hate, you never want to tell somebody that when they're going through it, like a friend to friend. I'm telling you because I'm on a stage in a forum here where I'm being asked to share, stuff, and somebody directly asked. But I would never say that to a friend if they were in the middle of something really hard. I would never say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but it's the truth. To find meaning and purpose in life, going through hardship really clarifies things. But what happened was, on my nightstand of 20 books, I finally, like, the one I pulled out was Martha Beck's Steering by Starlight, one of the best self-help books out there. And she's the top coach in the world. She's the best. And I know there are other good coaches out there, but Martha Beck is the best. And her book, Steering by Starlight, is her best coaching book. She has other good books, and I've read her other books, but a lot of the coaches who got certified by Martha, I'm one of them. All of us, Steering by Starlight is our favorite. And so I highly recommend that. Oh, good. I have a library around my bed, Jackie says, of self-help books, I'm assuming. So, or just many books. Yeah. So, I found purpose by having a moment. It's one of those kind of, as we say in the South, like a come to Jesus moment. And a come to Jesus moment. It's the part of you that rejuvenates. The message of Jesus is, no matter what religion you are, or if you're not in a religion, the message of Jesus to me means, self-renewal, and coming back to life, and kind of living in a space of love. So even though things were really hard, I had a moment where I chose love. I chose to turn my life around. So there were two very powerful choices I just made in that moment. And then I happened to have on my nightstand this book by Martha Beck. And I chose at that moment, when I chose to turn my life around, to choose love. I just happened to have that book, and totally changed my life. Astrology didn't, I have to say, astrology didn't help me clarify my purpose. Astrology is validating when you're going through a lot of hardship. It's good to know where Pluto is and Saturn. Sometimes it helps you understand more about why you're in your situation, but it doesn't really show you the way forward. That's why I trained to be a coach. Coaching tools help you find the way forward. And I can tell you, like, I have so many examples of people I know personally, clients, myself, my friends who've used these tools, and they're powerful. So you can combine astrology with the self-coaching tools or get a coach, and it's a powerful combination. But there's also that personal choice. Like, there's no turning back. I'm choosing to turn my life around. I'm choosing life. I'm choosing love. And where are some tools I can use? And I just threw myself into that book, into doing the exercises. I threw myself into meditation and yoga, and that combination of habits that I picked up right at that moment of choice, major choice, were like lightning rods. I mean, it was like I was hit by lightning, and I was never the same after that. So, we have these defining moments, and I don't want everybody to find them through hardship, but I think it's can be healing and soothing to know that if you're in hardship in any way. I think Sagittarius isn't necessarily in hardship right now, but if you're one who is, because you have a different sun sign or rising sign or moon sign, the good news is if you're feeling scared, alone, and like you've made a bunch of mistakes and the world is maybe against you, that's a good thing. It's like a gift that keeps giving, because if you can make a choice, like, okay, here I am, here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I choose. If you can be that definitive, and I didn't know exactly what I was going to do in that moment. I didn't know I was going to be a coach right at that moment, but I made two major decisions. I chose life and to turn it around, and I chose love. And those were my true north for a while, until I got a little more clarity through the coaching exercises. But anyway, I have got to run. It's been fun hanging out with you guys. I'm going to go meet with Carolyn at Camille, and we may come on. We may do a live chat in a little bit to talk about some other things. But it was great seeing all of you here, and I will talk to you soon. All right. Mwah. Happy January. Remember, got Jupiter in the area of making money. That's good.